My sister-in-law Caroline delivered her decree at Easter brunch, loud enough for all 40 assembled Whitmans to hear. Your children are simply too disruptive for civilized gatherings. Perhaps it's time to consider leaving them with a sitter. Her announcement echoed through the Fairfield Country Club's banquet hall as my 4-year-old daughter quietly colored at the kids' table, oblivious to the humiliation her presence supposedly caused. I smiled, gathered Lily and my 6-year-old son Max, and announced we would indeed respect Caroline's wishes and skip future events. Her triumphant expression suggested she believed she had finally restored order to the Whitman clan. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that for 5 years, I had been the anonymous benefactor funding every extravagant Whitman gathering she so meticulously curated. I had quietly funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars through a network of LLCs and charitable trusts, transforming once modest backyard potlucks into monthly country club spectacles, while letting the family believe the money came from a mysterious old business associate of James's late grandfather. Caroline had seized control the moment the funds appeared, reshaping the family's culture to match her pristine, WASP-approved aesthetic. Children should be seen and not heard. Adults should socialize in hushed elegance. Caterers should glide like ghosts. Table settings should be symmetrical. My kids, normal, joyful, occasionally messy children, chipped away at her vision simply by existing. Easter was merely the moment she felt confident enough to say it aloud. When James protested in the car, I told him the truth. I would no longer bring my children to gatherings where they were treated as intruders. What I didn't tell him yet was that Caroline had unintentionally freed me from funding my own exclusion. 2 weeks later, the country club called Ellen, James's mother, because the May reservation had been canceled for non-payment. Then June's barbecue vanished. Then the 4th of July gala. One by one, the events collapsed because I had stopped writing the checks that made Caroline's reign possible. Watching her scramble to maintain her carefully curated illusion without the bottomless budget she believed to be her due was a quiet satisfaction I savored privately while stirring pasta sauce in our modest kitchen, my children chattering happily around me. As spring turned to summer, the Whitman family group chat devolved into frantic confusion. The trust account was empty. Richard had no idea why. Caroline blamed accounting errors, then blamed the club, then subtly blamed various relatives for not contributing their fair share, though she herself could not float the sums involved. Her tone grew sharper as gatherings slipped through her fingers. Why couldn't everyone simply commit to the standards we've maintained? Cousins pointed out those standards had only existed because of the anonymous donor. Tempers flared. Catherine suggested returning to backyard gatherings. Caroline dismissed the idea as regressive. But without the catered spreads and rented venues she required to maintain her image, her authority shrank by the week. Meanwhile, our home became a refuge. Family members trickled in for simple dinners, paper plates, kids' toys underfoot, mismatched mugs rediscovering the warmth and ease they had forgotten. Ellen began visiting weekly, singing Lily's songs, helping Max bake messy cookies, confessing that the elaborate country club gatherings had never been as effortless as Caroline made them appear. I miss everyone together, she told me, but these little visits feel more real. I nodded, knowing the truth behind that sentiment. Eventually, the secret threatened to surface. Richard, ever analytical, hired a forensic accountant to trace the vanished funds. When he appeared at my door one Tuesday, he looked shaken. He had followed the faint thread of donation patterns and correlated them brilliantly but accidentally to the public milestones of my tech company before I sold it. It was you, he said. I didn't deny it. I explained it simply. I funded the gatherings when the recession strained everyone else. I stopped funding them when they became a stage for my children's exile. Richard, horrified, apologized sincerely not just for Caroline's behavior, but for the family's collective blindness. I told him I didn't want apologies. I wanted the family to rediscover itself without mistaking luxury for love. That night, after he shared the truth with Catherine, who told Ellen, who told everyone else, the family group chat exploded with shock and remorse. Caroline went silent. Not one message, not one defense. Catherine hosted the 4th of July potluck that year, firmly declaring that children were not merely allowed but expected. Mismatched chairs sprawled across her lawn, coolers brimmed with sodas, burgers charred unevenly on the grill, kids in soaked t-shirts shrieked through sprinklers, adults lounged on blankets instead of white linen-draped tables. It was the kind of gathering the Whitmans used to have before wealth, or the illusion of it, became the measure of familial connection. Ellen leaned beside me and admitted this felt more genuine than any country club affair. When Caroline arrived late, without her daughters, she moved stiffly, as though the imperfections around her were too bright for her carefully curated eyes. She winced when a toddler spilled lemonade, when teenagers dunked each other in a kiddie pool, when someone served potato salad directly from its plastic store container. But she stayed, which surprised me. During the fireworks, she approached, her pride clearly fighting embarrassment. "I suppose you're pleased with yourself," she said. I told her I was pleased my children felt welcome again. She accused me of humiliating her. I answered honestly that she had created the conditions for her own humiliation the moment she decided her standards outweighed everyone else's humanity. What followed was the first real moment of honesty I had ever seen from her. She said she didn't know how to function in a family that didn't measure itself by perfection. I told her calmly that she had a choice: learn or remain on the sidelines, but the family was moving forward without the pageantry she once controlled. She watched her daughters abandon posture to lie laughing in the grass with their cousins. Something in her expression softened, not fully, not permanently, but enough. In the months that followed, the Whitman family rebuilt itself smaller, simpler, freer. Gatherings rotated through living rooms and backyards. Kids sprawled across floors. Adults arrived with hastily made casseroles or store-bought desserts. Conversations unfolded without scripts. Caroline continued to struggle, commenting occasionally on etiquette or making reflexive remarks about proper behavior. But she also showed up. She brought salads in Tupperware instead of catered platters. She sat on picnic blankets, stiff at first, then with gradually loosening shoulders. She apologized to James before she ever apologized to me, and eventually, awkwardly, she spoke to me about wanting to do better. Whether she truly meant it or merely feared being left behind, I couldn't say, but change often begins with imperfect intentions. Through it all, I cherished watching Lily and Max rediscover their place in their father's family, not as tolerated background noise, but as vital threads in the messy tapestry that makes gatherings worth having. The Whitmans learned that connection thrives not through pristine table settings, but through shared laughter, burnt food, spilled drinks, and the unpredictable joy of children weaving through adult conversations. The money had never been the point. The gatherings I funded were meant to preserve family, not elevate one woman's sense of social status. Stopping the donations had exposed what was fragile, but it also allowed something stronger to grow. On a late summer evening, during another simple potluck, Lily leaned against me and whispered that she liked these parties better than the fancy ones. I told her I did too, and as I watched cousins chase fireflies across Catherine's lawn and adults laugh without checking themselves, I felt certain of one thing. Sometimes the healthiest way to save a family is to stop paying for its performance, walk away from the gilded version, and build something genuine in its place. A place where everyone, especially the smallest voices, truly belongs.